Good morning, Oana. Welcome to see you here. How are you doing?
Good morning, Cohen. I'm fine, thanks, and thank you for inviting me here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure actually. So I have to thank you for your contribution in the book and the wisdom around blockchain. We'll come on that later. But I was also curious, who is the person behind this? Who are you? What do you do? What's your passion?
That's a very broad question.
It's a good thing that it's broad, right?
So I'm Oana Ladret. I am the CFO and general manager of Nomadic Labs. My background is actually in legal studies. So before working in the Tezos project, I used to be a legal counsel in banking litigation. So I was close to finance in a way, and becoming part of a blockchain project made sense. What I'm doing now is that, I have the worries of every manager that is part of a startup. I have to attract and keep the right talent, because that's the main asset that we have today. I have to make things to make sure that we're going into the right direction, knowing that we are evolving in a market that is widely unknown, because blockchain is very emergent. It's not something that is set up and you have centuries of tradition going on that.
It's building up. It's building up.
It is building up. It's amazing. The pace on the last 2 years. I am impressed and astonished of how fast that goes. And that's also an opportunity for companies like Nomadic to keep an eye open and to be open-minded about what's going on around us, because it's always something new. We have to pay attention of what users want, of what society wants, because at the end of the day, that is what blockchain is. So that's like my own view as a legal student. It's quite it's awesome to be part of a project that proposes a new form of social interaction.
Yeah,
it's a lot we don't know about it, but I'm there. I'm witnessing it.
No, cool. And I think then my next question will be an easy one, as it flows nicely into being on the legal side before. How do you see, because yes, there is a lot going on about blockchain, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. But I'm also curious to know how do you look at RegTech? What do you see as your relationship with RegTech as being a blockchain firm?
Yeah, so
I know I'm just putting it a little bit black and gray by saying you're a blockchain firm, but maybe you'll have to explain that a little bit later, what exactly you do.
Of course. So RegTech, it's a very interesting phenomenon, because it's very humane to search easy solutions to complex problems, and technology is there for that. And combining regulations that we all know are vast and various, and the quantity is increasing over the last years, with technology solutions is actually a very smart move, because it allows to treat a lot of data in a short time, and it allows to cut costs, and it allows to actually have very good results, very reliable results. So what I see as what I see for blockchain in this particular field, blockchain is a technology that includes, it's immutable. So I think that it's a good word for people working in compliance. It ensures traceability that can be perfect traceability. And that's another thing that we're seeking. And it's secure because of the cryptography that is used inside the blockchain technology. So we actually have, as I see it from my standpoint, is blockchain has compliance at its heart, in a way. It's made for this sort of applications, just to follow things, to monitor things in a reliable way and in a secure way. So I think that's where.
Well, I agree with you. I agree. But what I always find so interesting about the whole ideation about blockchain, it's also about distributed trust. It's that there's no central point anymore. It's the community that trusts each other. And if you extrapolate that into society, because you also mentioned society, you see that this is changing society. I had the interview with the guys from the Japanese governance, and they brought out a white paper which it's all about bringing people together, and they say laws should not be built by a regulator alone. It should be an iterative process amongst all the players, and the not only the trust should be distributed, but also responsibility.
That's a very interesting topic, and well, I can talk about it more by giving the example of how Tezos works.
Yeah, please. I was curious to know more. I obviously knew a little bit more after I spoke to you, and then you wrote the article. But yeah, maybe the audience would also be interested to learn about Tezos as well.
Yes. So Tezos is a public blockchain, which means it's decentralized. It's at its heart, you have the fact that it's going to be run by stakeholders, by the community around this project. Well, how it evolves, that's the part that it's actually very linked to what you just said. It's a blockchain that is self-amendable. So we usually know that blockchains cannot be modified, because that's the whole thing. You have a registry, and that registry is immutable. But Tezos comes and challenges that limit, I'd say, by proposing an on-chain self-amendable process that is held by its stakeholders. So what's interesting about that is that everybody that is a stakeholder, so every person that has Tez, which is the native cryptocurrency in the Tezos blockchain, can actually participate in this on-chain governance. By having the possibility of being chosen to create new blocks, so to approve new transactions, and also by choosing what are the features that the Tezos blockchain can include in itself, because we have this on-chain voting. I say we as a community. So we have this on-chain voting system where a stakeholder can make a proposal and say, look, I'm going to give an example that is easy to understand. One of the first proposals that were made was to reduce the roll from 10,000 Tez to 8,000 Tez. It's a small decision, but the community and the stakeholders on the Tezos blockchain were part of making that decision. They chose to go into that direction. And now we include, we have upgrades about 3 to 4 times a year. And we see the community actually participating and being part of that decision-making process, and it's quite amazing.
Yeah, which makes you like an ideal candidate for a lot of financial institutions that have processes amongst each other. But is there also a solution? Because I know it exists, but I'm just interested to know whether it's also present on the Tezos platform, because I've been in discussion with people and talk about chains that are set up for a particular purpose. Some are set up to make sure that identity is kept very closely, and that's why it's been set up like that. The others, for example, could be done in order to deal with a lot of transaction in a short period of time, which could be particularly interesting for a capital market. So is that flexibility then also something which is built in that new way of thinking?
All that can be absorbed in the Tezos blockchain, because it can evolve. So if it's not already there, we can put it there. There can be proposals for new features. There was this funny trend on Twitter at some point. It was the blockchain. The Tezos blockchain was compared to a Pokemon that can evolve in its time.
As long as people keep catching it, that's fine, right?
Exactly. So no, actually that's the added value of the Tezos blockchain, is that if we don't have a feature, we can actually integrate it, and the community, if the community wants it, they can vote to have it. And yes, of course, what you've said, scalability, privacy, these are topics that are at the heart of the technology we're working in.
Interesting. Now, once you talk about scalability, then it's almost avoidable to come to the ESG question, especially the sustainability question about blockchain, because that's heavily been discussed nowadays. Is it really cost saving in terms of energy? So how does that work? Is that also, how do you look at it?
Well, I'm going to discuss about Tezos in particular. I know that there is a lot of debate around the energy consumption by blockchain in general. And a lot of criticism is directed towards what we call proof of work blockchains, where there are miners that are pitched in some way against each other to solve puzzles. And then we ask, where does the energy go for those that are not winning the race? Well, for Tezos, that problem has been solved by the fact that it is a proof of stake blockchain, which means that the validations of new transactions is made peer-to-peer, and the nodes are computers of the stakeholders. And I find that that's very interesting, because you can actually have a computer where you run your Tezos node, and you can also use it for other purposes, because the Tezos node doesn't take that much place in a computer. At some point, there were experiences with people that were running Tezos nodes on a Raspberry Pi. It's a very small device.
It's a very small unit, right?
So that's the way Tezos solves that problem, and it is indeed. There have been some studies last year that showed that, for instance, for an NFT, it was the amount of energy used was the same as the one you can produce from a sunflower seed. So that's small.
Okay. No, I think it also ignites, if you want, the responsibility of the users. If a miner becomes a user, this is also interesting that this has been recoupled instead of uncoupled or decoupled.
Yes, well, in Tezos blockchain has a French tradition, which means that the people validating blocks are called bakers. And yes, they are very much part of the life of the project, because they are the one who are able to make the proposals, and also the ones that are able to vote on it. And in order to become a baker, all the stakes are pretty low at the moment. So as I said, you have to have a role which is 8,000 TES, but that can change in the future. That's the community to decide if they want to leave more people in, and to have this process even more decentralized.
Cool. Yeah, we're almost at the end of our small fireside chat. But I think a very suitable question for you would be, we talk about RegTech. We have the RegTechBlackbook, obviously. But for you, what is the future? More reg or more tech?
Well, at this point, it seems to be in balance. I think that people are asking, well, reg is a response to people who are asking for transparency and comprehension of how finance works, which is a very valid, and we all seek that. And more regulations respond to that. But of course, when you have more regulation, it makes it harder to follow. So that's where tech comes in and makes it user friendly. So I think that if we keep like that, it's going to be a balance. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, it's a wording that has been used a lot, especially by me lately. It takes two to tango, and it always comes back to that, right? It cannot just be one. It needs to be a kind of a collaboration altogether. Oana, maybe as a last question, you guys run an organization, but why should people contact you? And maybe in the same time, I'm just saying, give us a few minutes pitch about what you do and why they should contact you.
Okay, so Nomadic Labs is one of the contributors to the Tezos blockchain. We have today, as of today, 3 branches of activity. One, which is the main one, is participating in the core development of the Tezos blockchain. And we have also developed a branch that is dedicated to support. We are trying to give support and to provide tools for the users of the Tezos blockchain. And of course, we have our BD branch that helps us educate users around us and well, educate them about blockchain and about Tezos in particular. So, well, that's what Nomadic does in a nutshell. And well, if any of that interests people, they can contact us.
Excellent.
Contact at nomadiclabs.com.
Cool. That's very clear. Thank you very much. Oana, by this, I would like to thank you again for this interview, for your contribution in the book, and well, also the contribution of making RegTech a better place and making the movement happening. For the listeners, yeah, this is just one of the fire chats we have. There's much more in the channel, so please don't hesitate to follow us, to like us, and also listen in to the other interviews. And let's keep the movement going. Thank you very much, and have a good day, everyone.
Thanks.